Start. I'll call the meeting of the Park Board to order. First item we have is to review the minutes of the last meeting. Does anybody have any changes or corrections or see anything that was omitted? If not, the chair will entertain a motion to approve them.
Move to approve.
I'll second that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. The first issue we've got up, and to take a look at this, the agreement that we have with the softball association for the concession stand came up at the last meeting. Tom's had a chance to go through it, and Deb put some past income numbers to it of what we've gotten, and it almost a couple of recommendations. The one being of just taking the average of what we had gotten over all the years and using that as our number going forward. Tom, do you want to add anything to the discussion and bring out some of the points that you had?
Well, and like you said that at the last meeting that Bill Coates from the Hudson Softball Association requested that the agreement for concessions to rescind the 8% charge or payment that they pay to the city for in lieu of part of the concession stand agreement. A few years ago it was at, originally it started out at 10%, and then it's been 8% for a couple years now.
Probably about 4 years.
4 years. And now he requested that we rescind it down to 0. And if you look on the issue sheet, that currently the city has another agreement in place for Lakefront Park. The concession pays 5%, and we do have electric meter that we don't charge per kilowatt, but we do kind of have a meter to see what the electric usage is, and at the end of the season we make an adjustment to their rent. So, you know, they pay 5%, and they do pay a portion or for part of the electrical usage. Mm-hmm. The boosters and other agreements that we have, the boosters use Field 5, and we really don't have any concession language in that agreement that expires in 2022. We do have another long-term agreement for the Hudson boosters for the Cratley Lane site. That's over in North Hudson. They have their own buildings, and basically that was never addressed, you know, any concession part of that. The agreement with the softball association is the only one that has alcohol or beer, malt liquor. So that's kind of where we're at with the history of some of that. I think we, on the other part of the issue sheet, Deb has kind of put together some of the history as far as the revenue that has been paid by the Hudson Softball Association throughout the years, and it's ranged as high as 2001, $3,700, and I believe last year, 2012, was $915, and what was last year?
That's what it was,
915. Last year was 915.
Mm-hmm.
So if we take the average from 2001 till last year, I guess it's about $1,600 a year. I guess I don't feel comfortable rescinding the 8%. I think that we have a lot of there's, you know, they have coolers, there's, you know, quite a bit of electricity being used out there. So either we use a flat rate at an average or at something in between, or we could consider that I did get some quotes for if we would like to put a meter out there and see exactly what the usage is, and charge them 8% or a certain percentage, and then add on to the electrical usage. The other thing is that, do they get top priority to that? Currently, we've had it in place where whoever has the concession stand the year before gets first chance at it. If they feel that these fees are too high, I think that we could easily go out for bid on this, and maybe there's other organizations that would pay this or more, if they feel that they.
I don't know how that would function for them, because this is all done to be an offset to keep their dues down and everything else,
But there's other.
and off of themselves.
But I still feel that,
What are we trying to offset or recoup with the 8%? Exactly, field maintenance?
field maintenance and lighting, we never quite make out, enough money on the lighting. The field maintenance, I don't know, did you put the revenues in?
Yeah. It was set up evidently years back to put into a fund for the field improvements. And that's what it's gone for, and we're obviously still in the negative
Right.
for the expenditures, so.
And I understand that we want to, that they have their expenses and they want to make more money too, but our expenditures keep going up and our revenues keep going down. We went from $3,700 down to $900, and probably because of their sales go down. One thing I am going to ask in the agreement that they're supposed to provide statements every month, and we haven't followed up on that too closely, so I'm going to follow up on that a little closer this year, if they care to, or whatever we decide to do. I was hoping Bill would have been here tonight.
To paraphrase what I heard you saying, is it sounds like, let's leave it alone.
Either that or go to a flat fee, either way.
I think either one would be.
On the flat fee, I don't feel comfortable with the 1,600, and that you can see how his sales, as their tournaments, as their play has gone down, it is a direct correlation to their revenue going down. To come up with what is the right number, I don't know. The only, the other part that was a little bit in there was if we go to a separate meter, so now we know exactly what the electrical cost is.
And that was about $1,200 to change. $1,200 to change over, and I know the one year that we changed over the concessionaire at the lakefront, they paid for that. So there would be a $1,200. That was just an estimate too. So it could be that or a little higher. They paid for that meter to be installed and any wiring associated with that.
Well, the council would have to approve that expenditure and then to be funded through that, which obviously there's right now $2,900 in there.
Well, we don't have a motion right now to do anything other than continue with the lease as it has been. I'm not hearing, especially without a larger group of us here to express opinion, but I don't hear any arguments to change.
No, I don't think we need to change, and I think that they can have first right every year.
Yeah.
I think that can stay the same. I don't have a problem with that. I know in his letter he talks about other organizations, but they've got a liquor license and they can peddle, beer, where the other kids, people, adults are peddling hot dogs. So I think we're apples and oranges that way. I think we still need, for the city's sake, to try to recoup some of what is, the maintenance and the electricity up there.
Yeah.
And I just say leave it alone and.
Okay.
Are we doing field prep for them?
And that's paid for when they request that we do field prep work and for lights. If they have a night game, they get charged so much for a night game. If they request field prep they get charged so much for that. And same way with the boosters, there's a church league that they request lights and some prep work or other teams. So it's a flat rate that they all get charged.
Yep.
So that's pretty consistent, pretty constant.
Yeah, I guess I would support sticking with what we have and rather than going to a flat fee based on the fluctuation that we see in the revenue and expenses that since 2001.
Well, why don't we, would you make that in the form of a motion? Or
I
can
will.
we take that in the form of a motion that somebody will second, that we can then,
I'll second that. That's
okay.
kind of what I said.
We're pretty clear on what the motion would be, and that is to keep the agreement as we've had it.
And do we want to incorporate the first?
And incorporate the first right of refusal on future years.
I think that's already in there, isn't it?
Probably.
I believe it is.
Yeah.
Still in there.
Still in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're just
So all we're
denying
doing
their
is we're
request,
just
right?
Yeah.
Basically keeping
keeping the
everything the
agreement
same.
as it is.
Very good.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. That pretty much eliminates number 3, the need for the meter.
That does.
Yes.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, when do we,
It could be in the future that as a expenditure in the future.
next item was the need we have for the garbage receptacles going down the dike, that part of the park. In the packet was the breakout on the one that the city is, the staff is recommending, and our purchase price was $3,048 for them. Tom, you want to add anything to it?
Yep, these were, some trash cans that we bought several years ago when we did the lighting improvements. They were installed the same time we did, I believe, the lights and the benches, and for some reason, these just kind of rusted out. So I think with all the traffic and the people, it needs to, they need to be replaced.
Yeah,
and
they get filled up.
They're kind of an eyesore, and so I think it'd be a good way we could use some of the funds.
Right now, how many Super Mitt dispensers do we have? We have one in the park when you come in.
I think there's one at the end.
There's one at the end. It would be real nice to put one in the middle, because people get that far and they aren't smart enough to kick it off to the side or get a stick and toss it off to the side or whatever. And
That is a problem down there.
yeah,
Could relocate one.
to put another one.
What are they, about $600?
Yeah, they're expensive.
Yeah.
But we could take one from another area, so.
Okay. We haven't had any trouble with vandalism on the trash cans and that down there, have you? With them disappearing or getting thrown in the river? Not to give,
These
I
are
was wondering
heavy.
the same thing.
not to give the,
No, not, I
Trolls.
think I think the benches are chained down.
Yeah.
And I think we might have these chained down.
okay.
So,
Do you want a motion to approve?
And then with the funds.
I'll move to approve the purchase of the 5 containers.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to spend the $3,048 to get the trash receptacles for down on the dike. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carried. And next item we had was the hexagonal shelter to go up in Williams Park. That was also in the packet. It looks like a great layout for it, Tom. I like where it's being suggested to go. I think
it's a
we'll,
good area to put one, and it's kind of by some play equipment, and so we do have some capital money that we could use to purchase the structure. Because of the way it's constructed and the poles and the way the concrete is, I think it'd be better to incorporate the contractor to install it, and do the concrete work. You know, the way the shape of it is, and to put the footings in and the anchors in and get everything all laid out, I think it'd probably be better if, you know, if the contractor did the entire project.
Well, plus, your staff has got a full schedule and a full
Yeah,
plan already with spring coming on and
generally
everything else to be done.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
other playground equipment, sometimes we've worked together on it, where, you know, we could save some costs there, but this here, with the layout and the concrete work and everything, I think it's, just would be better to do it this way.
Mhm. Any other discussion on it? Hearing none, we'll have a motion. Somebody move to approve?
I'll move to approve the recommendation to install the shade structure at Williams Park.
And a second?
Second.
It's been seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Tom, updates on the parks and any future projects that?
Projects coming forward, one thing that we really should consider as the committee is, last fall, we started doing some, we walked through the parks and just did a survey and kind of assessment, park assessments. I know we did Lakefront Park, but we still have several other ones to do. We should probably consider that on some of our next few meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow incorporate that in, maybe have half a meeting or, you know, here and then,
I think we should.
or I think one time we were actually gonna meet right up at White Camp Park or whatever, Prospect, and,
Mm-hmm. Well, since Prospect needs work, since it needs a new roof and it's gonna need other work to go on up there, why don't we hold our next meeting there? Deb, do we have to convene here and then go up, or can we convene at the park?
We can convene there,
Okay, then we'll convene right at the park rather than coming here.
unless some other issues come up
Yeah,
that we would
yeah.
need to meet, I guess we
Yeah.
can just meet.
That'll be in your packet or
Mhm.
be emailed to you beforehand.
I'll let you know.
and then the other thing that we should be really considering is that we've talked a lot about Burton Field, and we do have, some money, capital monies to get started, but it's, that's what about it is, you know, something to get started, and something I'd like to sit down and, you know, just review, maybe next meeting is review the concept plan again, and look at the monies that we have available, and to see how to move forward with that. And if you guys can, you know, have some ideas, if we should use those monies just to improve the existing restroom, or, you know, it's kind of like, once you make the step forward, you know, with removing one field and then changing the restroom, you're kind of committed, and we, at this point, we don't have the $400,000 or $500,000 to do the whole
Yeah.
project, so, we have to take a step back and see where we can go
Mhm.
with, you know, we do have a little bit to get started, but, you know,
And the bathroom really needs it.
so, you know, if the monies aren't there, should we, you know, take some of those monies and maybe try to see what we could do with doing some work on
Sure.
the restrooms and the warming house?
We could go down there from Prospect.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, out, go down there and take a look at that. That'd be a good idea.
And other projects, I think we mentioned before, is we have some monies to do some blacktopping trails up at the Prospect. I think we have some money to do the roof at Prospect, and I'm getting a lot of requests from different groups that would like to do some projects, so maybe we could get that, you know, shelter painted and
I'll
roofed
take it
this
to
year.
Rotary tomorrow and see if they want to do it again. They did it last time.
And I know there's a, you know, Faith Community Church, I'm gonna meet with him tomorrow, and they're pretty energetic. It just, you know, would be, maybe they could work together on it, you know, someone do a lot of the prep work, and maybe someone would come and do the painting, maybe, you know what I mean, maybe we could work
We could
together
have a-
with the different groups.
Or if that's already been
Sure.
talked to them about, that's fine too.
Yeah,
You know.
so, you know, Prospect is gonna get a lot of attention this year, we have the, you know, the new structure at Williams. as part of the forestry, we can put a little plug in for the Arbor Day, is that we do have some trees and some interest with a group from, I believe it's the FIP Center and the Sustainability Group, that it's, let me get this right, it's a neotropical bird migration from South and Central America that about this time of the year, well, it's a little later than this, but they tend to come up the St. Croix River Valley, and there's certain bushes and trees that these songbirds really like, and I know there's a group that would like to do some plantings down on Picnic Point with some of the shrubbery and bushes that these birds like during their migration. And as part of the Arbor Day celebration, we incorporated coupled varieties of elm trees that when this migration happens through the St. Croix Valley is I don't know if you've seen the little seeds that are on elm trees, little brown ones with a black center. Well, I guess that's one of their main parts of their diets when they come through this. As the elm seeds drop, the birds come through, and then they can make it farther up north. But so there is a group that is going to do a little project down at Picnic Point with some of the bushes and things down around that
Fish sculpture.
that fish sculpture area. So that's kind of exciting. And I think hopefully we'll plant some of these. Another plug for the Arbor Day. We're going to actually make this, it's going to be, I know of one other one in Wisconsin and a couple in Minnesota, and they're called gravel beds, where we purchase bare root trees at a cheaper cost. And at that point, if bare root, if you'd plant them, it takes, I don't know, a couple of years, maybe 2-3 years really for the roots to get established. So what we plan on doing is building this gravel bed, and you put the bare root trees in 3/4 inch to 1/2 inch gravel, and you water them, keep them pretty moist. And after 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, you take them out, and it's like these roots are on steroids. And then our plan is to actually plant most of the trees in October, and then we don't have to water them throughout the summer.
Sure.
And we can plant them at our convenience, if we want to plant 10 or 5 or 10 a day. And some of these trees here, we're going to be put in some of the, we lost 100 trees last June from the storm. And some of these trees will be boulevard trees, a lot of them will be park trees. So it's really amazing. So
That'd be great.
So hopefully we're going to use some of these trees for park projects also.
Sounds good.
And I do have another gentleman that would like to donate. I think you've seen some of the trees up at White Camp, and a bunch of them up in Prospect and Williams, some of those smaller, they're white spruce. Anyway, he has some that are about 8 or 9 feet tall, and if we can get them as soon as the frost comes out before they candle, I'd like to get a few of those in some of our parks.
He's willing to give them to us.
Yeah, we have to.
You have to spade them up. But.
Yeah, we rented a spade, and we, brought a bobcat down, and it's just south of town a little bit.
Perfect.
Actually, we lost about 100 pine trees between White Camp and Anderson Park last year. The drought came through, and then that pine beetle killed a bunch. So I'd like to get some trees up at White Camp and Anderson Park. So. Other than that, the hockey boards should be coming down tomorrow. I know there's St. Pat's wants to play softball probably next week. I think there actually was one game up on Field 5 tonight. Hudson was playing Woodbury.
Really?
Girls softball. So
it's a
season starting.
Unless there's any other new business or business for future meetings, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.